Have you ever noticed a strange pattern in your relationships? Different faces, different personalities, different beginnings, yet somehow the same emotional story keeps repeating. Maybe your partners become distant in the same way your father did. Maybe they become critical like your mother once was. Maybe you keep falling for people who make you feel small, unseen, or like you have to constantly earn love. And at some point, you start wondering, why do I keep attracting the same kind of person? Is it bad luck, poor choices, or something deeper happening beneath your awareness? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn might completely change how you understand your relationship patterns. But before we go deeper, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. This channel explores the hidden psychology behind relationships, trauma, and emotional healing, topics that can change the way you see yourself and the people around you. Now let's talk about something psychologists have understood for a long time. We are often drawn to partners who resemble our parents emotionally. Not necessarily in appearance, but in behavior, in emotional patterns, in the feeling they create inside us. And this happens because of something called attachment programming. From the moment we are born, our brain begins learning what love looks like. Who comforts us? Who ignores us? Who criticizes us? Who makes us feel safe or unsafe? Our parents or caregivers become our first model of relationships. They shape our nervous system. They shape our expectations. And they quietly teach us what love feels like. If your parents were supportive and emotionally safe, your brain learned that love equals security. But if love came with criticism, distance, unpredictability, or emotional neglect, your brain learned something very different. It learned that love feels like anxiety. It learned that love feels like chasing approval. It learned that love feels like trying to prove you're worthy. And here's the strange part. As adults, we often feel chemistry with people who recreate that emotional atmosphere, not because it's healthy, but because it's familiar. Psychologists sometimes call this repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate unresolved emotional experiences from childhood. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to finish a story that never got resolved. Imagine a child who grew up with a distant father. That child may spend years trying to gain his attention, trying to be good enough, trying to earn affection that never fully came. That emotional wound doesn't simply disappear when the child grows up. Instead, the brain quietly carries that unfinished story forward. And later in life, that person may feel strongly drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable, partners who make them feel the same longing they once felt with their father. Why? Because part of the mind believes that this time it might finally get the love it was denied. This time they'll choose me. This time I'll be enough. This time the story will end differently. But often it doesn't. Instead, the same dynamic repeats. Not because the person wants pain, but because their nervous system mistakes familiarity for love. Another powerful factor is something called emotional imprinting. During childhood, our brain absorbs relationship patterns like a sponge. We internalize roles. If your mother was overly critical, you may unconsciously seek partners who evaluate you. If your father was emotionally distant, you may be drawn to people who feel slightly out of reach. If love in your home felt conditional, You may gravitate toward partners who make you work hard for affection. These patterns can feel strangely magnetic. The attraction feels intense, sometimes even addictive. But intensity is not always the same as compatibility. In fact, the strongest chemistry can sometimes signal an old emotional wound being activated. Another reason this pattern happens is because of something psychologists call internal working models. These are unconscious beliefs about relationships that form in childhood. Beliefs like love must be earned, people eventually leave, closeness leads to rejection, or even I have to tolerate pain to keep someone. These beliefs become invisible filters through which we choose partners, not intentionally, but automatically. Your brain quietly scans people and asks, does this person feel like what I know? If the answer is yes, even if what you know is unhealthy, your brain may label that feeling as attraction. This is why emotionally healthy partners can sometimes feel unfamiliar, even boring. Not because they actually are, but because they don't activate the emotional patterns your brain associates with love. And this is where many people become confused. They mistake emotional stability for lack of chemistry and emotional turbulence for passion. But in reality, what feels like passion can sometimes be unresolved childhood attachment playing itself out again. So, does this mean you're doomed to repeat your parents' relationship patterns forever? Not at all. Awareness is the first step to changing it. When you begin to recognize the emotional patterns behind your attraction, something powerful happens. You gain choice. You start noticing red flags earlier. You begin questioning why certain people feel so intensely appealing. Instead of chasing the familiar, you start asking deeper questions. Does this person actually treat me well? Do I feel safe with them? Do they respect my emotions? Or does this relationship simply feel like something I've experienced before? Healing these patterns often requires reconnecting with the emotional wounds that created them. It means acknowledging the unmet needs from childhood, the approval you chased, the love you hoped would come, and slowly learning that you don't have to replay those stories anymore. Healthy love may feel quieter, calmer, more stable. At first, it might even feel unfamiliar, but over time, your nervous system can learn a new definition of love, one that isn't built on anxiety or emotional chasing, one built on safety, mutual respect, and emotional presence. Because the truth is, you don't attract people who remind you of your parents by accident. You attract them because your early relationships shaped what love feels like in your mind and body. But once you see the pattern, you can begin to break it. And that can completely transform the kind of relationships you allow into your life. I'd love to hear your perspective. Do you think your past relationships were influenced by your childhood experiences? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped you understand something new, share it with someone who might benefit from it too. And don't forget to watch the other psychology videos on this channel. You might find one that explains another piece of your story.